Hi everyone, Max here. About 10 months ago, I posted a video on mastering ChatGPT Plus for 2025. And since then, OpenAI has shipped a lot more that actually changes how you use the tool today. But here is the problem. Features keep rolling out every single day. New models and modes, autonomous agents, native connectors, project-level memory, branching chats, and even new video generation models. It's getting impossible to separate the gimmicks from what actually matters. If you haven't watched the beginner guide, you can find it somewhere here. This video is an exact follow-up to that earlier video focused only on what's new, what matters, and how to use it in real workflows. This channel is only about practical applications of AI, so stick around to see what are the real ROI opportunities that are hidden behind GPT Plus paywall. Let's dive in. Right, so now newer ChatGPT has different types of tiers, and let's actually take a look at those. So you can have a free account, and on a free account, you will have a lighter version of your model. You will have limited features that you can access to, and basically will have limits on how many messages or images you can do for several hours. And if you're on a paid plan, those limits are much more generous, and most likely you will not probably hit them. So the next tier is sort of like a plus plan. That's a personal account that you can buy for $20 a month, and you get access to most of the features that ChatGPT has. And I'm personally on a plus plan, so I'll show you how that actually works. If you're a rich guy, you can get a $200 a month plan, and this will give you an access to GPT-5 Pro. So this is like a next tier model that is even more smarter than those models that are available in Plus, and you can have a business plan. So business plan will also give you access to Pro, and it will give access to control of the other accounts as well. So if we take a look at the ChatGPT Plus account, basically the main difference is the models that we have access to. Because if we're on a free tier, we can't pretty much select any model. We just are using by default, I guess, ChatGPT 5 mini model, not even the overall version. Here we're by default given the ChatGPT 5, the general version, and we can switch between instant thinking mini, and we're gonna take a look at this just in a moment. So let's take a prompt and ask, first of all, the thinking model to calculate us the different reasoning and scenarios of when we should raise money for a startup. Here we have an option to pre-select the thinking type, either it be standard or extended thinking. Basically, that means that extended thinking will make model to think actually even longer, so that you can get at the end even better quality result. So let's actually run this. And the second option, let's actually use an instant model and run the same prompt for an instant model to compare the results. So the main difference between the instant and thinking model is that the instant model will actually respond straight away. It doesn't think before the answer, it actually answers it straight away. Whereas thinking model, before providing an answer, it's actually thinking what the user's intent was behind the prompt and why did they ask it and how to actually calculate it. So the quality of the response is much better, and we will be able to compare the two. So let's take a look at the first one. So this guy actually calculated us the best line numbers, the scenario 1, scenario 2, scenario 3. Quite short answers, not so many calculations, no many tables, no many details, and in general, the answer is not that long. So for such a task where we need to take a little bit more of strategic decision, I would always use a thinking model because the quality of response indeed does matter. And that's why here, for example, when we talk about a thinking model, here we get the setup. So we get the base, cautious, and bear case. We get dilution math even. We have a recommendation to do not raise immediately. So I think for this one, the recommendation was if you run out of cash to 3 months before break even, so raise money, which is just, general advice, doesn't take really much into consideration the numbers that I have provided. Whereas this guy actually told us that we don't need to raise money immediately because we have enough money to cover the expenses. And at the end, if we have MRR being higher, we can have higher valuation and raise money at better terms, which is exactly that. So I can clearly see the quality of the answers difference between the instant and pro. And I would usually use instant only for the cases when I need to quickly Google stuff. For example, who was playing the football game this weekend, right? I don't need the thinking model to think a long time to answer this one. So I can use an instant model. But for some more strategic tasks, I would definitely use the thinking model. And also, you have an option to choose the thinking mini model. So this one actually thinks quickly. It's hard for me to actually think of a use case why I would use thinking mini, probably for a less sophisticated task, but that needs a little bit of reasoning. But in general, it's just, I think OpenAI just makes it a little bit more difficult that you have the thinking where you can select the standard or extended, and you even have thinking mini. And we're again getting in too many options, because before that, the problem was that there were too many models that people didn't know which model they need to pick. So they decided to go with auto-instant thinking, and now again, they are extending to different levels of thinking, and this is a little bit more difficult. Another thing is you can use legacy models, and if you want to, but in order to enable this option, you have to go to your settings, you have to click on General, you have to click on Show Additional Models. And once you have that, you will have legacy models available for you. Right, so the next feature I want to show is the agent mode, which was not previously available when I was recording my first video on ChatGPT. So if we go to New Chat, we can click the plus button. There is an option to select different things. And one of those things is actually an agent mode, which is really nice and powerful. So for this agent, I'm going to use this prompt so that it goes to a German secondary car market, mobile.de, search for BMW 5 Series, and actually get the data about each of the models that are listed on the website and import that into Excel, so that I can later on go and compare what's the average price, compare different models, etc. It's just much easier instead of me going and searching the car myself. So I hit enter, and what actually happens, you need to make sure that you have this agent pre-selected. But what it's going to do and what's going to start just in a moment is it's going to set up a virtual environment. So basically, it's not my computer, it's a virtual computer that it's going to use with a virtual browser to search for this website, to search for the information. It will use it so in Excel. Actually, in most cases, it uses LibreOffice instead of Excel. But then once it does its job, it actually can output the result into Excel here in the chat. And the biggest difference about this one in comparison to Deep Research or other agents is that this agent actually doesn't interact with the backend that much like Deep Research does. Basically, Deep Research is going to go in the web, search for the relevant sources, and it's going to just read the whole code behind the websites to get access to the content. Well, this guy instead, it actually goes to the websites and it interacts with user interface. Basically, what we as humans actually see, it doesn't interact really much with the code. So you can go and click on buttons. If you have some websites or databases that are behind the paywall, you can actually get this agent, get to the database, ask you to log in, you log in with your account, and actually navigate through the database for you. So that's pretty nice and pretty cool. And now it actually takes a little bit of time to setting up this desktop. And I'm going to just go and show you how it actually works, because this might actually take from 5 to 30 minutes to do. And I'll show you how the final results is going to look. So here, I actually run exactly the same prompt. And this is what actually happened. It actually worked for 34 minutes. And let's actually take a look what it has done. So let me zoom in a little bit so that you can see a little bit better. And what it actually does, and we are almost at the end, but in the very beginning, it's going to open the website. Stop typing the URL in the browser. Then it's going to go to the website, try to access the website, might hit some blocks. So if we scroll further a little bit, it's already on the website. So just adjusting the filters. And as you can see, the model actually goes and clicks through the website. It doesn't interact with the backend. It actually interacts with the user interface, which is totally different segment. So think about what it can do for you actually. So let's move on further down a little bit. So now it sees a little bit of different examples of different costs. So it clicks through somewhere, goes into the publications, reads the information, outputs that information into LibreOffice, and in the end we get something like this. Okay, so as you can see here, we got 5 or 6 different models, and then it outputs me the spreadsheet. The spreadsheet looks like this in the Excel file, which is really nice and exactly what I wanted. But the difference is it outputted only how much, like 5 examples. This model worked 34 minutes to output me 5 examples in the Excel sheet. So here I want to pose like some limitations. It indeed is very powerful in terms of what it can do and interact with user interface. It hits the blocks while it's actually going, and it might actually spend some time on accepting cookies or hitting blocks in terms of like some errors or something. It will try different options. It all takes time, and the model basically by developers have some limits on how long it can work for a certain task, just because most likely if it's going to work for the whole day, you can just use all their servers for the whole day, and that's kind of not fair in their opinion, I guess. So you have certain limits how long it can go. And since this task probably was a little bit more difficult for it than I would expect, it was able to do in that certain limit just 5 cars, which is not representative at all, right? So and when I asked the model actually can you actually go and do why only 5 vehicles? I need hundreds. So the suggestion was either you have to break it in multiple sessions and do 5 each time, or you have to do the automated scraper. So unfortunately, it's not able to do and automate the whole thing yet, but it is very, very powerful. It can go and search for the websites, and it can order food for you. It can, compare your user experience at your own website and give you kind of a report how it actually feels. So you can think of all different use cases, but it has its own limits yet. So I think in the future, it's going to be expanded and we can give it more advanced tasks so that it can work for a longer time and do more stuff with that. All right, so the next thing I wanted to show, which I find really, really cool and useful, especially for those who are not with the techie background, is actually using the connectors. Well, the connector is sort of an API call, but for non-techie people, because it is all pre-created for you already, and we have some connectors ready in ChatGPT. For example, if you go to your account, you go to settings, and then you click connectors, you can see all the different connectors that you can connect. So in this case, my connectors would be, I can connect my Google Calendar or Gmail to ChatGPT so that whenever I have a question about my Gmail calendar, it can access that information and provide me with some insights. And for this one, I would actually suggest using like Thinking Mini at least, because the Instant might not actually think about different tools or connectors, and Thinking Mini, you'd usually explore that. So if I ask what are the free slots on Friday this week in my Google Calendar, it sort of can think that it has access to different tools. In this case, those are connectors, and it will checking the user calendar. So now it's trying to access my calendar, searching for the slots. It says talk to Google Calendar, and most likely it will provide me with the response, what are the free slots on Friday this week? So let me see if it outputs them correctly. So for today, I have actually 2 meetings at 2 p.m. and at 4 p.m. So it says I've got a training in the very early morning, which is exactly should be right now. I have skipped that, sorry for that. Then I have another meeting, then I have another meeting, and then I have 3 periods basically. So the whole thing it actually done, it went to my own calendar, checked what are the free slots I have today, and provided me with the exact timing, which is really, really nice. You can ask about anything. And this happens if you go to your settings, you go to connectors, you click Google Calendar, and you have to connect. So I am connected right now. So instead of me, so in another case, you will have an option to connect here, and you will need to log in with your Google account, basically. Another connector that you might have seen in my account was actually Gmail. So it can even access my Gmail account. So you can go to a new chat. I'm using Thinking Mini, and I can ask what were left was with the client run token over my Gmail. Please hide any confidential information. Well, I want to hide some confidential information so that I'm not exposing that to the, everyone on YouTube. But here we can see it thought for 5 seconds, it talked to Gmail, thought for a few seconds, and now it's going to check what we're left with the client. So basically, it's going to use probably the search bar in my Gmail, write Brand Thornton, read all the emails that we've got, and tell me what is kind of the summary with the client, which is, again, pretty neat. I don't need a specific connector for that. I don't need to use like, Copilot or Gmail or Copilot or Gemini for that. And here we go. So quick status, planning and logistics agreed in July, calendar reserved. Training delivered on 15th of September. Again, clients and feedback results, you can have presentations and an invoice, and there are open items. We can confirm some things, suggested next actions. So it's a couple of emails that I have. Yeah, that's kind of pretty cool because you can access any type of information over your email, and you can have ChatGPT actually doing this for you. And for this one, I do suggest using like Thinking Mini at least, not the Instant model, because otherwise Instant usually just ignores what connectors you have. And the final thing I wanted to show you is that we can create our own connectors as well, not only the ones that are provided by, developers. So here you can see my DeepL MCP connector that I have pre-created as a custom one, and now we can create one together with you. So in order to do that, you have to go to advanced settings. You have to click on the developer mode. For this one, I'm going to start a new chat, and here you have to click on the plus button. You have to go right down bottom to the here, click more, and there will be developer mode. So once you have the developer mode, you can see all the custom connectors that you have created. So I have only one here. So let's click connect more, and we can create a new tool. For example, research agent searches for scientific papers on a given topic. Okay. So now it asks for MCP server, and it should look like this with the ending SSE. So I've found actually one of the easy examples that we can use right now. So this is the MCP server on the GitHub, which is a free one. And you can use this link to access that MCP server. This is a research paper agent. It's actually searching for academic papers on Archive, and Archive is the big database for mostly AI-related papers as well. So I'm going to use this one to quickly set this up because it's free. And for authentication, we click no authentication. I trust this application, and we hit create. So once we do that, we'll have to reload the page, and our MCP connector for the scientific papers should be ready. If you want a separate video on how you can create your own connectors, which will involve a little bit more of like custom coding, then drop a comment down below and we will take a look at this in the future. I'm not going to do this right now because otherwise this will take a lot of time. I don't want this video to be an hour-long video. Okay, so once we do that, we have research agent available. So let's actually click here, enable. So let's actually use this tool, and let's say use the research engine tool to find the last week papers in the AI space. And let's actually hit enter. And for this task in particular, again, I'm going to better use thinking model. So the thinking model is actually checking what tools it has available. Now it's going to understand that it will have available the research engine tool that can access the database. And now it says research engine search papers. So I'll click remember this for this conversation. So I don't need to click it every single time it's going to make a search in the database. And now let's actually wait a little bit while it actually extracts the information. That's another endpoint that we have available. And I can check the endpoints. If I go back to the settings, I can go to connectors and I go to my research engine. Here I can see what are the different endpoints that are available within a specific tool. So now I have selected available 2 tools to be remembered in this chat, and the model is going to search for different papers and is going to extract the information. Actually, for this one, it searched for the papers. It has extracted up to 10 results, and now what it does, it extracts the information from each paper. So it's going to extract info from each single paper. So we're probably going to do about 10 times. Let's see how it works and what results we're going to get. All right, and we got it. So it actually made a first call to search different papers, and then it made another 10 calls to extract the information from those papers. And here we had the final result. So for the last 7 days, we've got deontic augmentation, benchmark, deep learning, and all the other stuff that you can access throughout the link. So you can go click the link because that's, again, another connector that we have pre-created here that has a specific access to the database. The links are most likely going to work. Okay, and I can even use another tool to translate this into another language. So for example, use DeepL tool to translate this into Russian language, for example. Okay, so because I have this deep tool available right in here, it's going to translate the whole thing into another language that I can say. The reason I'm using DeepL, because DeepL is basically a tool for translation. It's an AI tool, but mainly for translation, so it has pretty decent database for the training. Okay, so now as we can see, it's actually calling the tool, and let's see what the results we're gonna get at the end. All right, and we have it in Russian language. Okay, so here we go. Basically, it made this call, translated this text through this tool, and outputted everything in Russian, which is amazing. All right, so this is basically how this kind of developer mode works, and I find it really, really useful, especially when you can connect different custom tools that you can recreate for yourself to access different apps. Think about accessing Slack, accessing your Excel files, accessing some documents. It's just so powerful, and you can actually make it do the stuff in your documents as well if you want, but that's another story that we're not going to cover today. All right, so let's take a look at some more easier features that are available for us. So another feature that is pretty cool that it wasn't available before and I wasn't talking before is actually memory, because now it has advanced memory. It can not only remember facts about you, but it can also remember information about the previous chats within your ChatGPT account. So let's take a look first about remembering facts about you. So I can go and say, remember that I like playing football. Okay. So what's going to happen is ChatGPT is going to update a memory. So here we will find this icon that it says updated saved memory. So next time when I'm going to start a new chat and I'm going to ask what I like doing in my free time, for example, it's going to remember that I like playing football. For what I know, you like playing football, it's in your free time. So that's pretty nice. In order to manage your memories, you have to go to your account settings, you go to personalization, you scroll down where you have memory, you click manage. Here we'll have all the memories about yourself saved right in here. So here I can go and say likes play football. I want to remove that so it just doesn't know about me. Next, if I remove this memory, I go to a new chat and I also delete the chats where I told that I like playing football so that it does not reference the previous chats. I'm going to go and ask what I like doing in my free time. ChatGPT doesn't know that. So for what I know, you like deep content creations, experiments, travel, lifestyle, sports, and fitness. There is nothing really about football because I have erased it from its memory. I have erased it from the previous chats. Okay, so this is how we can work with this. Also, what I like about this one is that when I ask what I like doing in my free time, it can actually reference my previous chats. So you can ask, for example, here, as you can see, there are specific things, planning trips, Spain, Italy, Croatia. So those are the countries I've recently went to or was planning to go to. Photography and tech, using your camera, experimenting with lighting setups and stuff. This is what I was asking it in the previous chats, and it was able to find that there is nothing to do with this in my memory list. This is just taken from the chats. So you can go and ask it something like, based on my previous chats, what do you actually know about me, or suggest areas for improvement for me? I'm not going to do this now, but you can try it for yourself later. Alright, another feature that I want to show is called chat branches, and it was introduced almost recently. This is nothing groundbreaking, but just a quality of life things. So for example, we're a local restaurant in Belgium with 3 spots, around 100 clients. We want to expand to other cities and possibly countries and build an empire. What do we have to do? So we run a deep research query, and it sort of gives us a deeper report what we potentially can do, which is nice. And I probably can find some cool ideas right in here. But those ideas might be different, because if we'll take a look at this report, it probably going to talk about, expansion to different continents, to USA, South Africa, and global. And if I want to continue talking about a specific thing, I can do this in the chat, but that's going to mix a lot of stuff. And after a few queries, I will be lost within the chat, because I have Africa, USA, I have different products, I have different operations types, and this is going to be very, very hard. Instead, what we can do is we can go down to the bottom of each and every prompt. We can click more action, and there is an option to branch in a new chat. So, and now when I'm branched into a separate chat, I can ask questions. Can you outline a more detailed plan to expand to the US, for example? Okay, just make sure you turn off the deep research query, because this is not something we want to run again. If you don't want really, again, this is what it does again. That's not what we want. So let's turn this off, and let's ask it just once again. But just by default, it tries to run the deep research query again. So here we're going to be talking about the expansion to the US. And I can take this chat, branch it in a new chat, and here I'm going to be talking about more details on expansion to Africa. Okay. So now it actually talks about Africa expansion and suggests some different things, so you can keep talking in this chat. So the cool part about this one is just the quality of life, that you can have different chats on different things. So you can have a chat here talking about the expansion to the US, here you can talk about the expansion to Africa, and you don't need to mix those things within one chat. And if we look at the chats on the left, basically you have expansion strategy advice and 2 branches, the branch to the African branch to the US, so that you can somehow better navigate what are you talking about within a single chat. Alright, so one more thing I wanted to show you is actually projects. And projects are a really powerful, low-hanging fruit that we can use right now. So if we go to a new project, we can create a new project, let's say my new project. And what it allows you to do is basically sort of like a custom GPT stuff. It allows you to add different files that will be referenced at all times whenever you use the chat within a specific project, or you can also add instructions. So those are custom instructions, so that we can specify how we want our AI to answer. And what is pretty cool in comparison to custom GPTs is that we have still this plus icon here, and we can run deep research with all our files and custom instructions. We can create images, we can use agent, we can even use canvas and web search. Because when you create a custom GPTs, those tools are not allowed, but this is allowed within a new project. Well, the bad part about the projects is that you can't really share them within the organization. However, OpenAI just released that this feature will be available soon for everyone, so let's wait for that, and we will be able to share the projects, which is really nice. So one cool use case I want to show you is that I have this cooperation offer agent that basically what it has 11 cooperation offers feeded into this agent. It has custom instructions where I add the role, the context, the task specifics, basically everything it needs to know to create the offer. I can use the selection of different models. And for example, for this one, I'm going to use the thinking mini model so that we don't spend a lot of time within the demo. And we can even use different tools. And for this one, for example, I want to use the canvas tool so I can edit the offer straight here in the chat if needed, and then download so that I can quickly send it. So let me ask it, create an offer for a client, a mass advisory about budgeting services for 2026. This is pretty nice because custom GPTs, which were very, very powerful before, they have very limited abilities of what they can actually do. And here you can pretty much use all the instruments of the regular chat within your own documents and your own projects. This is very, very powerful, and I really like that. So let's actually take a look if it is able to build us a custom offer based on the information that it has in its knowledge base and the instructions that it has. Well, now it generates the offer in the HTML format, and I'm gonna stop it here, and I'm gonna prompt it specifically that no HTML, just plain text. It might be the case that in my project settings, I've asked it to generate in the HTML format so that we have formatting. But as we're using the canvas feature, here we don't need that HTML because it's going to auto adjust the formatting by definition using the canvas, and we don't need specifically HTML for that. So let's see how that works. All right, so now it's actually started creating something. So let's actually take a look. I'm gonna click at it, and now I can see my cooperation offer. I'm not sure what this was meant for, to be honest, but we can actually go and delete this part because it looks a little bit weird. And here we got the cooperation offer. We appreciate for budgeting services, proposals, scope of work, detailed revenue forecast, cash flow planning, scenario sensitivity analysis. This is basically taken from the previous offer that I have pre-submitted to him, and it sort of workarounds this information and creates a very nice operational proposal to be actually very detailed, to be honest. And if this one looks decent, I can, delete stuff or add something right in here. And if this looks decent enough, I can go and download this in the doc format or PDF document. Yeah, that's pretty nice. So here we go. We got the cooperation offer ready. Just make sure you format it the right way in the canvas feature. Next, let's talk about image generation. So you can, of course, create images in ChatGPT, but some people found it to be very nice and some people found it to be like a little bit AI-ish, so that you can quickly tell it's AI. But what I like to use this for is basically poster generation. Think about if you need to create visual ads for Facebook, or for some promotional ads or for posts. You need to create a promotional campaign for your brand or your product. Those posters that it can generate are quite amazing, but in order to generate poster, you need to know a specific secret sauce, and that secret sauce is basically a very detailed prompt. In order to do a very detailed prompt, you have to structure it properly, and the structured way for a detailed prompt is JSON. So let's take a look. What if I go and I use my JSON structure for a specific format? We're going to take a look at how it actually works, and I'm going to add a file of my product. And let's assume my product is a Stanley Cup, and I added my product here, and there is a detailed description. Oh, I'm sorry. I had to probably specify here that it needs to create an image. Let's actually see if it understands it by definition, or we need to pre-select this from the toolbox. All right, so it actually understood that it needs to create an image. So let's actually take a look what we're doing here, really. So we upload a picture of our product, and here I give in a very detailed format how I want my picture to look. So here's the style, here's the resolution, here's the subject, type, product, description, position, details, how big is that. I talk about the background, what kind of color I want to use for the background, what kind of items, position, what is the text overlay, font size, color, etc. So you pretty much specify in a very much detailed way how you want your picture to look. And how you can do this yourself? Well, of course, you can go and edit these parts yourself, or you can add your product in a brand book to say, hey, here's my JSON structure. Please fill in that with my branding colors, my product, etc. Which is one of the ways to do that. And if you find a really nice and decent poster on a social media that you want to use for your product, you can upload a poster and ask it to generate the JSON structure to regenerate this image. So that way you kind of get a unique JSON structure that you can use for your own poster, that you will need to substitute just those items with your own colors, the sizing and stuff. And of course, you can ask AI to do that too. So let's actually take a look what it has generated for us. So it took our Stanley Cup and it generated Sip Pretty, Stay Hydrated, 5 stars, keep drinks cold, eco-friendly, BPA-free, customer favorite. Very nice poster, just from nothing. Even just if you know how to prompt it properly and give your instructions in a structured format, it can generate really nice posters. That probably would take, a few hours for a designer or yourself to deliver by hand. Okay, another media creation that I wanted to show you is using the infographics and creating the infographics. But in order to do that, let me first ask my model to write instructions for the emergency situation in a company, documents that can be used and passed internally to employees. So now it actually writes all those different kind of things. I'm using instant model just to save a little bit of time. Of course, if I were using this for a real case, I would use the thinking model or even like extended thinking for that. But this is generally for kind of the demo purposes. So do you want me to create one page quick reference poster? Not the poster. We're going to do it a little bit differently. So here now we're going to click on plus sign and we're going to pre-select canvas. And now I'm going to ask, create me an infographic in HTML format for these instructions for employees. And in this case, I'm going to be using, let's actually try Thinking Mini so that the quality is a little bit better and the infographic is a little bit nicer. Now we're going to use Canvas with HTML. And the reason we are using it this way is because if we're using HTML and Canvas, we can execute the code straight away. and then we can download this as PDF and use this instruction later. As you can see, we have this button, preview button right here, which allows us to run the code on the browser to see how it actually looks. So let's wait a couple minutes until it generates it and see what the results we're gonna get. All right, so the file has been generated, and now what we can do is we can click preview. Let's actually click what infographics we actually got. So emergency procedures, quick infographic, assembly point, parking load zone A. Okay, so general principles, stay calm, prioritize safety, report immediately, emergency contact. We got some icons, evaluation and quick steps, medical emergency, security threat, natural disasters, roles and responsibility, key reminders. So I think it actually, maybe this is not the best in terms of design, the best infographic, but it's just much better than just plain text. So thinking about giving this information to your employees to read and get acquainted with the instructions, I would rather do this in this format rather than with the plain text, because plain text is very, very boring. So if you want to use it later, what you can do is you can click on this one and click download. So this is going to download you this document in the HTML format. So you can open this as a web page in the HTML format. And if you want to print this one out, you can click Ctrl P and just print the whole thing. Well, the only difference that I find here, it just doesn't print out the background, unfortunately. So most of the cases will use the white background for printing. But if you want to send this as a document or HTML document, that's pretty easy, and you can do this. It's just much easier to read, I think, this way. Otherwise, the worst case scenario, you can use an image from that and just print out the image of this. All right, and the next feature I wanted to show you is the update to GPTs. Unfortunately, for a couple to 3 years, there were almost no updates to ChatGPTs, and this is so disappointing, but because I used it many times, and I think this is a very powerful feature, and I have plenty of my own GPTs pre-created before. And pretty cool thing that I wanted to show you, that the main update they had is basically when you go to edit your GPT, you can now basically pre-select different model. You can use 4.0, you can use auto, or here there was a recommendation that you can either recommend to use a certain model, you can say there should be GPT-5 model for this one. So there's just, a very small update here that you can use now. Another update that I've added, you can use Canvas with your custom GPTs. And other than that, I think that's pretty. There was nothing really other things that have changed since they released it in 2023. This is really unfortunate, but at least we got the newer models working on the custom agents, which is really nice. Again, custom GPTs agents can be shared. So if you're in Europe, you can't share your projects, but you can share your custom GPT. So if you want to create a custom agent for your organization and share it within your team, this is where you should go. And here you can click anyone with a link, or you can click GPT Store. So if it's going to be in GPT Store, well, everybody will have access to this agent, or you can have only people that have the link to access this agent. All right, and one thing I wanted to show you, which probably is a little bit more advanced, is that you can go to your custom GPTs and you can make your custom GPTs to make actions on your behalf. So for example, here I have AI database assistant. So this AI has access to my product database, where I have all the different products on my website, for example. Okay, and for this one, I can ask, what are the 5 cheapest products in my shop, or in your shop, to be rather. So now what it actually does, it's actually talking to a webhook, and it was able to retrieve this information from my database. For example, here it says there's selling price $235, solid man round neck green t-shirt. So if I go to my database and I'm going to sort this from the cheapest from A to Z, these are the cheapest option: $235, solid man round neck, light blue t-shirt. So those are the 2 that are the cheapest products in my shop. The next one is a Vipman vest and 2 Vipman vests, and etc. So this is exactly what I've done. It can access the database, it can sort the items, it can find the items by certain thing. I can even go and ask it to update a database or update a certain product. For example, I can go and say, so let me take this ID of this product. Let me actually take another one. Let me take this ID and say, can you update the price of this product ID to $15? Selling price. Let's do selling price. Now, what it's going to do is talks to a connector, and I couldn't read the product details. Product ID does not exist. Okay. So it says wasn't able to find that. So it actually doesn't want to do this because the settings are set so that you have to provide more information about the product details. So the workaround for this one was I'm telling use the post request, and when it asks me to use post request, it wants me to provide more information, the title, the category, subcategory. So I say, let's assume yourself. He says, I can't assume because I have the database restrictions. What I can do is a partial update to this one. So I say, okay, let's do partial update. So it makes an API call using the post request to update the selling price of this product ID to $15. And if I go back to this one, so the price indeed is updated to $15. Again, this took much more time than I would expect it should take. But again, for one product, it's just much easier to do it yourself. Think about if you need to update it for like 20 products, 50, 100 products. You can ask your AI agent to do that within one chat, and that's pretty nice. So with this one, I want to show that AI agent can actually access specific databases or specific connectors, again, as you would set them up. And for this one to set up, you have to set an API schema for get and post requests yourself. For the connectors that are pre-built within ChatGPT, we're using Model Context Protocol so that you get access to all the API points at once. Here we set the endpoint for each action that we need to take. Okay, another thing that was added and I wasn't showing previously is Codex. And Codex, this is like an AI agent that will do the coding for you. Basically, that's a coding agent. You can create an environment in the GitHub, or you can try this agent in VS Code Cursor or Windsurf. So basically, the way it's going to work, you open your, let's say, Visual Studio Code, and this is how it's actually going to look. So now it automatically finds you the Codex OpenAI coding agent, so you can go and install that agent for you. So once this agent is installed, you will see this icon appear right here, and once you click that, you will have this chat box open here. So you can go and ask it to do a certain thing, develop a game. In my case, I was asking develop a snake game. You can ask it to vibe code a certain app or anything like this, and it's going to go and do this for you. It will run it, and you will be able to test that again. So this is, again, here you can pre-select basically different types of agents or chats or agent full access. You can select different types of models. So in this case, you'll have GPT-5 Codex, high, medium, and low, or you can have GPT-5 model. And again, this agent is primarily made for coding tasks and nothing really else. So I'm not going to run this right now because it's going to take a lot of time. It's actually not so fast, but you can do pretty much a lot of things with this one as well. And this, again, purely for vibe coding kind of stuff is very, very useful. All right, so one more thing is that I wanted to show you that you can download ChatGPT app. And in order to do that, you will just Google ChatGPT download and install. And once this is done, you will have ChatGPT app on your computer, so you can run it at any time. I showed it already previously. That was whenever this one is run, you can hit Alt space and you will have this icon, the screen appear at any time. But the biggest difference with this one is pretty much it has similar functionality as before. The only difference that you have with this one between the web version is that you can click on the plus icon and you're able to take a screenshot. So once I take a screenshot, for example, of this screen, it will save it here and automatically update this one here. So I can ask questions straight about the screen that I'm seeing right now. So instead of you going and doing it manually, you have this option right in here. So this could be useful and sometimes. And also another thing, you can use a photo. So you can set your camera and take a photo of you. Right now I'm recording on my camera, so I'm not able to show you this feature, but basically that's what you can make it here. And this isn't generally the main difference between the desktop version and the web version. Well, of course, it's just the quality of life thing that you will have this icon appearing on the quick access bar instead of the tab on the very top. That's probably another difference that really matters in this case. Okay. Last but not least, I wanted to show you also the ChatGPT for mobile version because it's actually got an update as well. So if we open our ChatGPT account on mobile, it sort of looks very similar and there's nothing really many differences that you will find here. Also, what you will find in the plus icon that you will not have access to Canvas feature on your mobile phone, unfortunately, for whatever reason. You will have pretty much the same models, you will have previous chats, all the settings are the same. What we really like about mobile version is an option to talk to your GPT. So when I click to this icon, I can actually talk in the real time to my ChatGPT. Hey man, how's it going?
Hey, it's going well. I'm just here ready to chat with you.
Cool.
What's on your mind?
And the thing that was recently updated, that now advanced voice mode can actually search the web for you. So can you please go online and search on the web the information about Flowbyte AI and tell me what this company actually does now? So
right now, Flow by AI is all about helping businesses automate their workflows and optimize processes using AI. They're basically continuing to do what they do best, making things run smoother and more efficiently for small and mid-sized.
So it's actually what it does when you hear that sounds when it says like pop, 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 it means it actually searches the web for you, because before that, it wasn't able to do so. And whenever you drive somewhere or you just walk around, you can ask any questions in advanced voice mode. And if it doesn't know really the answer, it can search the web for you. This is so important, so nice feature, because previously it wasn't available. Now it's just getting much more sense that you can quickly ask some stuff instead of you going and asking ChatGPT with writing or, Googling some stuff. It just makes it so much easier. And another thing that I wanted to show you, that you can actually use your camera. So you can click on this one and say, hey, what do you see right now?
Sure thing. Right now I can see you and it looks like you're just in a room with a simple background. So if you need me to pay attention to anything specific.
Do I look happy or you look busy?
Honestly, you look pretty relaxed to me. You've got kind of a calm vibe going on.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. You can use your front camera, you can use your back camera for the phone, which is really nice. And once again, if you travel somewhere, you just put on your phone, turn on the back camera and just talk to it in the real time. So what is this thing about? What is this site about? What is this kind of church? Why is this here? This is so amazing. And if it doesn't know the answer, it can search that for you. So that's pretty cool thing. And those kind of more broader capabilities makes it so much easier, much powerful to use in kind of daily operations. And the last thing, unfortunately, I can't really demo for you, is the option for advanced voice mode to actually use the screen recording that you have right now on your phone. So for example, you can go to your chat and you can click on 3 buttons, and here you can upload a photo, take a photo, or share screen. So I'm not able to share the screen right now because I'm recording that screen. But especially if you have any troubles with the phone settings, you need, for example, to turn off the roaming data, or you want to access specific notification settings of a specific app and you don't know where to find that, this feature is really, really cool. Just, talk to it in the real time, share your screen and ask, where should I go to turn off this feature or turn on this feature? How should I do this? It's just much, much easier. Before that, again, we have to Google, we have to search for that. And now it's just a game changer. Really, I suggest. And just a couple of last things that were just released recently, but unfortunately I can't demo right now. And one of them is ChatGPT Pulse. So Pulse essentially is like an agent that thinks about you and it researches the data about you from the previous chats and conversations, and it proactively goes and asks you a question that you might want to ask ChatGPT about, or you might need to. So let's take a look. For example, here it says introducing ChatGPT Pulse. So what it does, today's Pulse, London's travel, it searches for previous chats, and in the beginning of the day it says, hey Alex, your big trip is around the corner, here's a handy guide, what you can do. So it kind of knows that you asked it before about the trip, so it suggested you some ideas to look around in the London, for example. Help your kitten adjust a new routine, can share more details on this one. And, it proactively sends you notifications and messages that it knows that at this date, at this time, you need to do this and this thing. And it kind of practically suggests how it can improve or provide additional insights for you. I'm not sure how useful is that. And if I want, along with all the other notifications, to have a separate AI to send me more notifications to actually read more stuff from AI, I'm not sure if this is exactly what I want. But this to me looks more like a life agent, that basically AI that actually knows more information about you and is like a lifelong assistant that kind of tries to go in hand with you and try to help you do certain stuff because it knows so much information about you. I think this is the way we're actually going, and I really want to test this, how it actually works, because I think at some time it may help not only with some random stuff, but also with the health checks, also help with, some, sports training, sports nutrition and stuff like that, because it knows so much information about me. It becomes very, very personal. And I'm not sure if that's good or bad, but I just want to see how it develops. And last but not least is the introduction of the new video generation model from OpenAI, which is called Sora II. So let's take a quick look at the demo, how it actually looks, and tell me, guys, what do you think?
1 year ago, Sora I redefined what was possible with moving images. Today, we're announcing the Sora app, powered by the all-new Sora II.
It's the most powerful imagination engine ever built. And it's packed with new features. I'll pass it to Bill for more details.
Now every video comes with sound.
Sora II is also the state-of-the-art for motion, physics IQ, and body mechanics, marking a giant leap forward in realism.
And we're introducing Cameo, giving you the power to step into any world or scene and letting your friends cast you in theirs.
On the path to AGI, the gains aren't just about productivity. It's about creating new possibilities.
It's also about creativity and joy. 1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, I'm gonna leave a link to this demo down in the description to this video, but I'm so amazed about the quality of the videos that you actually get from this. And the coolest part about this one is that I've released a specific feature called Cameo, where you can record yourself and sort of train an AI on your face and then basically generate videos of yourself from different shots. So think about, you want to generate a video how you work at a computer, and with the Cameo features, you will be able to generate like 8 or 10-second video from different angles of yourself. And this is much more look like a professional production footage for a movie, or even like for different like TikToks or for fun. Those videos usually go viral. And in order to do this, you will have like to at least have a small production team. But now, as you can see here, like Sam Altman working on those small toys and stuff, it shows this from different angles in one shot. So in order to do this in real life, you'll have at least like 2 phones or cameras, like good sound and lighting and production. This takes so much time to do that, and with AI you can pretty much do this with a single prompt. It's been crazy. It was released just in the United States and Canada. We'll probably get this sooner or later. Now, the only thing we can use, at least here in Europe where I'm based, is the older Sora model, and the older Sora model was not that realistic. I think it had very nice demos in the very beginning, but the quality when you start to generate with this model videos were not so good. You can go and basically see a couple of examples on Sora.chatgpt.com, and you can explore what are the different videos that were pre-created by other people. But I think as we have now new Sora model, we should really look for more videos on social media about from new Sora coming out, and I think wait for us to create with this as well. So generation models that allow to generate realistic posters. We have general LLM models being much smarter, like ChatGPT 5. We have specific Codex models that are made to writing specifically code. We just simply can talk to advanced voice mode like this in real time, and it's so realistic that it can search the web. You can share your screen on your phone, you can share your camera. It just gets integrated everywhere, and I think it is so cool. And I'm really glad I can deliver an update to this video to show what are the cool stuff appears just in a 10 months time, and it's been an amazing journey. Well, hopefully I'll get another video in a half a year or so, and we're gonna be demoing another cool stuff that has appeared in this kind of ChatGPT interface. And the things they're doing I love really much, and I hope you guys too, and you enjoyed the video. If you like the video, also click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. What are the most coolest features that you've found that I've showed today, or maybe I've missed something? Let me know. Thank you for watching. And that's the update. What changed, what actually matters, and how to use it in real workflows. If you want a deep dive on any single feature like agents, connectors, projects, or even Sora, drop a line in the comments which one is that, and I'll make a follow-up tutorial. Like the video if you found it useful, subscribe for more practical AI workflows, and share this with someone who needs to stop wasting time on manual tasks. Thanks for watching, and until the next time.